Hello everybody, Walter here. Welcome to episode 37 of my Oxygen Not Included Let's Play series with the Space Road and DLC. In the previous episode we started working on a couple mining rockets, but then we got a bit distracted by the nuclear waste which was melting through its containment, which we had to do something about, obviously. But today I would like to continue where I left off, finish in the fuel production and the rockets themselves and send them off into space. So without further ado, let's jump back into the game and have a look. And here we are back on Abeno, where we're going to produce all of the liquid oxygen and the liquid hydrogen we're going to need in the near future. But first of all, we're going to have to build this system over here, which will contain the aqua tuners and the steam turbines. Now, while I'm here, I would like to make a few modifications first. Since I already have a reservoir over here, I don't need an additional spot. I can store some of the coolant in over here. So I can actually get rid of these here. Then I can also move this one here a bit over. This one here I can connect there. This can go. And I mustn't forget about replacing the bridge up there. And over here I can also simplify the pipe a little bit by just going down here. Then I can remove this part there. And that looks all in all a little bit better, I would say. So, with that out of the way, let's get this here built and also evacuated at the top here. And to ensure a proper cooling of the steam turbines, I'm going to use a layer of supercoolant at the floor here, because this loop here is also going to be used to liquefy the hydrogen over here. And since this will be rather cold, there's a good chance that even if I used hydrogen in here, it would just freeze and I would lose the thermal cooling element here. So I'm going with the supercoolant instead. Now, while we're waiting on the vacuum, we might as well start connecting those here to some gases. First, though, I'm going to turn these here off. So if I get the wrong gases in there, I will not have to evacuate those chambers again. Now, this one here will be the oxygen and this one here will be the hydrogen. So for that, I'm just going to run this down here. And the hydrogen in parallel. Just like so. Then all the way to over here. Then through here. This will make sense in a moment. So, oxygen I already have over here, so I'm just going to steal myself a little bit out of those three pipes there. And then the hydrogen I will run in parallel all the way to this part here, where I'm going to bridge it through. And then I will follow at the top here, because I have my output for the hydrogen right here. This can go. I might want to add one bridge here to keep in line with what I have built in other places. And over here I need to connect or disconnect those here so they can empty out. Although I might as well just empty out them manually. So that should be all I need to do over there. And obviously I'm also going to need to get the supercoolant over there, so I'm also going to add a temporary pipe for that. But first, let's actually have a look at what we can print out. So I'm not looking for another dupe right now. Supplying cooking, I don't really need one. Mouth breather, nope. Yeah, why not? Let's go with some more coal. I have more than I'm ever going to need, but why not? So, but as I said, first I now need to get those pipes here in place. And also some to get the supercoolant in later on. And now with the pipes in place, I already started putting in around a ton of coolant in this loop here. For now I leave it at 1 ton and 5 tons at the bottom, because I actually want to cool this here down more than I need, and later on I'm just going to add some warm coolant and I won't have to wait for this to heat up again. Now, I can already start with the reconnection here. And with the settings over there. So first of all, this one here I'm going to set in a state where it's always on. And this one here I'm going to set to the proper state of above 190 degrees negative. So this is for the oxygen, which I can already put in place. For now, I still need to wait for the next bit of supercoolant, which is coming from over here. And once that is placed, as I said, I'm going to switch the connection from the top there to the bottom and put in 5 tons of supercoolant down here. Now, while that is happening, we might as well talk about the rockets. So first of all, I made the correct settings here already. The cargo here is accepting any kind of solid. These here are only accepting oxygen. And I had to add one more ladder here so I can actually fill the drill cone with diamonds. And I should increase the priority for those a bit. So, then next up, let's do a little bit of cleanup over here. Those are no longer needed. Everything has been built right now. And then the next step is actually putting in all of the internals for the 2 miners. And since this will be a single seater, I'm going with a slight variation on my Explorer here. The main difference will be that I don't need a telescope, so I can add a bit more decoration. And a little bit later, we are halfway done with this, but in the intermediate time, we found one more asteroid. So let's have a look on the space map. Oozite is our marshy asteroid. No meteorite showers. We have a tungsten volcano that might come in handy later on. And yeah, besides of jungle and marsh, there's nothing really interesting going on. But nevertheless, this means we're going to send our Conqueror into orbit. So let's select the target right into orbit. Then we are going to need the crew. Do I want to change the crew? No, I'm still building over here, so I'm leaving my second builder on land. And yeah, let's just send them off once everything is ready to go. Okay, now over here we are halfway done with cooling this down. That is advancing quite nicely. This is also cooling down. We are almost at minus 35 degrees. So that is also advancing quite nicely. And I added a liquid reservoir up here, which I'm pre-filling with the required amount of supercoolant, so I can later on very quickly get rid of this temporary pipe here. But for now, I think we are still missing a little bit of supercoolant, which is still being produced over here. Anyway, we have unreachable food in here because, yeah, okay, let's go into non-state. Now my tube should be able to actually eat stuff from the inside here. And where is Gosman? Let's have a look. Gosman? Where? Ah, Gosman is here. Okay. Let's speed this up a little bit. And any second now we should see this here launching. Okay, perfect. Good. Now, while we're here, let's actually add a few more things, namely a couple temp shift plates. I think I already have a couple in place. There should be one in the middle here. Yep. So I'm thinking of adding a couple more to the sides, so the heat that is output by the engines is transferred into more of the liquids that will be around, and hopefully that should keep this into or in a liquid state instead of just boiling off right below the rockets. At least that is my hope with this setup here. And while I'm here, I might as well add a couple over there. Wait, that's the... suspect that's the wrong material. Yeah, I don't want to use granite, I'm going to go with diamonds for these. Almost used the wrong material. You know what, let's add one in the middle here. Just so we can transfer some more heat into those here as a buffer. Okay, that is looking pretty good already. And then just a few more here. And yeah, why not? Just to add more temp buffer all over the place here. Anyway, this is looking pretty good. We are on our way, and we are also still building our 2 miners here. And we are just about to reach orbit on Oozite. So, now that we're there, let's land our dupes. First, Gosman, and let's see. Yeah, let's stand at the top there. Then Ashkan, once Gosman is on his way, right next to that. Then over here I'm going to do a little bit of digging and deconstructing. And we have this blob here, which is going to become quite useful soon, I suspect. But anyway, let's get rid of this one here too. And then I can build the rocket platform. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to place it right there. I should have enough materials to get the ladders to this spot over here. And once that is in place, I can land the rocket again. And now I should be able to switch those ladders here to obsidian. Or not. Let's have a quick look. I thought I... okay, yeah. My dupes removed the obsidian to build something on Beno earlier. Okay, so that means we are basically done here for now. We're just going to send the crew back to Beno once the saving is done at least. And then I should really work on maybe adding another storage tile somewhere here for some more obsidian. Or maybe even all of those here. We'll have to see how that goes in a moment. And building melted, likely one of the ladders here, or even both. Yeah, that is the reason why you would want to use obsidian in those cases here, because sooner or later they will just melt. And Ruby is... okay, it's just running a lot since I'm digging out all of the hot abyssalite over here for later in this playthrough here. Anyway, we have some printables, so let's have a look what we are going to work with. So Murphleaf seed, not really overly useful. Operating, supplying, noodle arms, not really. Rocket farming deco, not really. Another cook I also don't need really, although let's go with the Murphleaf seed. It's not really necessary, but we have it, so why not? Okay, now let's have a look. How are those here advancing? So this is all planted. We are still waiting for these here to mature. And then I can also get rid of the last few ladders down here. Okay, that is looking pretty decent. These are still being built. Similarly to the internals of the rockets, I suspect. Yeah, this is still all a work in progress. And the first miner is basically done, except I forgot about one little issue, and that is while the hydrogen engine produces a lot of power when it's running, on ground this here is unpowered completely, so I will have to do something about this. And the simplest way to do that is, I think, replacing these here with the smaller module. I don't really need the large one for normal travel. And then I am going to add a battery module right below. And that battery module I'm going to connect via some steel. That's going up in the middle here. And then just going to connect this with some tungsten over here and over here. And that should power all of this here. And that reminds me, I should make a bit more tungsten. So let me very quickly order that one. So wolframite to tungsten, how much do I have? Decent amount. So let's say I want to go with 10 tons in total. So 5 tons each, that should be enough. Now, in the intermediate time, the rockets here landed, obviously, as you can see. I already selected the next target, which is going to the northwest this time. And this is also already fueled and basically ready to go. So I'm going to launch that one. Now, this one here will have to wait until we have found another asteroid. And yeah, we have a new achievement, namely this one here. Not okay, but pretty cool. Reduce the temperature of a building to 6 Kelvin. And currently we are at about 2 Kelvins over here. So that means we can now change the setting here to the proper setting, which is above minus 257 degrees. That is the temperature I'm aiming for. And then I'm going to move in the missing supercoolant, which I have stored up at the top there for right now. And then I can also turn on the hydrogen. One more thing I should do though is change the setting for the liquid hydrogen to something a bit lower, since it only has 500 kilograms per tile usually. So, and we are already getting the first bit of liquid and, well, also solid hydrogen in here. Okay, that is pretty interesting to see, but once the warm supercoolant from here finds its way in there, it will rectify itself, and I will have to close the loop. Well, let's actually close the loop. This has a lot of time to worry about. But anyway, I think, still owing you a small explanation how the liquefier here works. So until the saving is done, let's wait. And then let's jump in here. So this part over here is nothing overly surprising. We have our cooling system with the aqua tuner, which cools down the coolant. And over here, the coolant is first moved into this reservoir here. And inside of the reservoir, we have already a good amount of supercoolant. So 4.5 tons in this case down here. And what happens is that the new supercoolant gets mixed into the old supercoolant, and the temperature gets corrected accordingly. And that means even if you have very cold supercoolant coming in here, it will only minutely change the temperature of the outgoing supercoolant. And that is very important, since the liquid hydrogen here only has a span of maybe 8 degrees or so within it is liquid. So you have to very specifically hit the correct temperature ranges, and that is the reason why you usually work with those liquid reservoirs. So we have something to print out, so let's quickly have a look at that. Do I want some more lava? I might go for some lava. Why not? Yeah, let's go for some lava eggs. So, but this is basically why you have those liquid reservoirs here, and then this whole loop system here, which cools down the entire gases. Then over here, this second loop is similar to what I did already a few more times over here. Basically, we have the liquid hydrogen and oxygen running in a big loop, and once it reaches this area here and it's not used up, it will get cooled down again. So even if it's running through the pipes for long durations, it will not actually turn into gas and destroy the pipes. That is at least the idea behind this. And we just hit the critical minus 186 degrees and are getting our first bit of liquid oxygen. As you can see, the pressure is down from 20 kilograms per tile to at the moment below 4 kilograms already. So this is going to go pretty fast. For now, I've disconnected the two pumps here from the power, since I don't want minuscule amounts of oxygen being transported through the pipes, since those will very quickly heat up and might break the pipes. So I'm waiting until I have a couple hundred kilograms here per tile, and only then I'm going to turn on those pumps here. At least once I also have some hydrogen, which is, as you can see, still going to take a little while. Nevertheless, over here we are almost done with building all of this here. I made one little modification to the Conqueror in the intermediate time. At the top there I added a storage tile, which will be for the obsidian I missed last time. And then the miners should be pretty much done. this one here. Let's actually copy the settings to this one here. Then let's finish this one here up. And over here, I make the same modification. So turning this on and placing the storage bin. Okay. And once this here is properly powered, I will also be able to actually get an atmosphere in here, and then I can build my hand sanitizer here and over here. And what should have been obvious, if I'm running the 2 kilowatt wire on the inside, I can't run the 50 kilowatt wire on the outside. Yeah, I'm going to have to make a few modifications. First of all, I'm going to disconnect here to avoid any additional damage, and then I think I'm actually going to grab myself the power from over here. Yeah, that makes sense. So let's see. I'm going to run the power up here. Then let's quickly snip this off here. And now let's go through here and through here. Then with steel all the way to over there. Yeah, that should work. Then I can get rid of this part there. And that should rectify the situation pretty quickly. So that's now looking much better already. We are now getting power in here without any overloading issues. The miners themselves are also almost done building. Still need an emergency supply of oxalate and the hand sanitizers though. And obviously fuel and oxidizer, which is going to be produced pretty soon, at least once this is cooled down sufficiently. Now, in the intermediate time, I noticed a glaring issue, which is, well, we've run out of sedimentary rock, which until this point we've been using as food for our stone hedges. Now, what I'm going to do, since we now have pips for food production, is I'm going to turn off 2 of those ranches here. And the last one I'm going to keep, but I'm going to feed it with igneous rock instead of sedimentary rock. Once I've tamed my volcanoes over here, I will have an infinite supply of that, but for now I'm going to, well, have to limit it to 1 ranch to not use this up too fast. And that means that I will also have to prioritize taming the volcano pretty soon. Next up, I noticed that most of the pneumatic doors here are open, and I think it has to do with Parkus getting into those ranches here with or in bulk and then completely overfilling them. So I'm going to only half fill them in the hopes that that should avoid that issue in the future. So let's just set them up like so, and then I'm going to feed them again for now with algae. So I'm refilling all of this. It's not too much of an issue. As you can see, I have way more food than I'm ever going to need in the next few thousand cycles or so. But it's a good idea to make sure it still is being produced in the future. And the digging here is advancing quite nicely. Also at the top there, at some point I can close this off. And I am considering building my monument in this area here. I will still have to search whether I can find maybe a better place for that. But for now, let's have a look there. Okay, we are still halfway there, so this is going to take a while. One more thing I would have liked to do is add another conveyor chute in this line here, but it looks like that's not really a good option. I don't really have much space left in here. Unless, of course, let's see. No, there is no space where I could move this over. Unless, of course, I move this over in place of this automatic dispenser and then put the second chute there. Yeah, I think this is the change I'm going to make, or otherwise when my miners land, they will completely overhead and back up in the entire system, and that is not something I'm going to want to have in here. Yeah, that is definitely a change I'm going to make. And here we go. I now have 2 separate chutes with space for a third one in there in case I find something else that will need its dedicated output over here. Very nice to see that. Now, next on the agenda, let's have a look at our nuclear fuel or nuclear waste. So it's coming at above 170 degrees, so I think this is still a bit too hot to directly pipe in here without overwhelming the cooling system. Yeah, it's still cooling down here, and that means I'm still going to make a little change over here. Namely, I'm going to add a second steam turbine to this here, so I'll have to expand this to the side, add a temporary bypass, like so. And then cool this down maybe with a bit of ice and then build this out so I have a second steam turbine on top. Just like this here. And now this still needs to heat up again, but we should now come out at a temperature that is low enough to not melt so the plastic. Yeah, okay. So this all needs to be cleaned up as well over on a Bano. Temperature still needs to go a bit, but over here we still have a little bit of very hot nuclear waste coming in, which came right through the bypass, which I just got rid of. And then I can remove first this bridge here, and once this pipe here is empty, I will also remove this one. And there we go. Now in the intermediate time, the system should have heated up properly. So let's have a look what the current output temperature of this cooling here is. So in at 201 degrees and out at 150, 154, 155 maybe. So we are definitely in the safe temperature range for plastic. So we shouldn't have any issues with this here melting on us from now on. Very nice to see that. Now, next on the agenda, let's have a look at our liquefier for the hydrogen. Okay, we are still a little bit above minus 200 degrees, but it's decreasing as we are looking at it. So that is good to see. We also have already a full tank of liquid oxygen, so I can turn on the pump. So let's just power here, and then I'm just disconnecting here the pump for the liquid hydrogen once I have it. Okay, and if we speed this up a bit, you can see now the first liquid oxidizer tank here being filled. And once that is filled, it will continue to the second tank, and then it will start to loop. And that is exactly what we want to see. Now with that said, let's have a look at the space map. Okay, this corner here is completely explored, so I can send my explorer back to the home base and then later on continue exploring towards the west of this map. Very nice. Then, next up on the agenda, while we're waiting on this here to cool down properly and produce enough fuel, I would like to do something I've overlooked the couple last episodes, and that is I have this oil reservoir here tamed. I have those 3 here tamed, but I completely forgot about the 5th one down here. So I think it's now time to actually properly tame this one here. And the tamer is basically done. We are only waiting on this single insulated tile here, and this is ready to go. For now, I'm going to remove it from the power grid since I'm already getting the first few power outages due to overdraw of the various machines. Nevertheless, in the intermediate time, I also opened up this area, which, thanks to me getting rid of the overheated abyssalite beforehand, didn't cause my base to boil away. Although it appears there's still a little bit of debris lying around, but it's not overly much interacting with the atmosphere, fortunately enough. So, that is good to see. What I will also have to do at some point is putting in a bit of a cooling loop in this area here, but that is something for later. For now, let's have a look at the hydrogen over here. So we have a decent amount of hydrogen in there, but this is overpressurizing. And I'm pretty sure I know why. This is not cold enough to keep up with the incoming warm hydrogen. So I need to overcool this a little bit. And that should hopefully keep this here from pulsing between liquefaction temperatures and above. So anyway, let's have a look. That might actually be enough for one rocket already. I think I'm going to connect this and fill this tank here a little bit in advance. I will need a crew though, so let's set Meep here. Over here I will have Ashkan, which means Ashkan can no longer be the pilot over here. I already have Engosman for that. And then I'm going to add Ruby here. So I have my two builders and diggers in one rocket, which will become useful once I start building on other asteroids. This one here is also ready to go, so let's remove that. And then we need a new target, and I still need to collect from this one here the artifact. So let's go there first. Prepare launch. And up you go. Then I need to return, and the first one I want to look at is this one here, and I already have enough fuel, so I can turn off the pump before this here overfills, and since this is still rather warm, this would very likely over here or maybe down here boil off and damage the pipes. So I have to be careful about this. We also have some debris lying around here from the last few meteor showers. Let's also collect all of that. Then, last part, let's have a look. We are in miner 2. And what do we have as food? Nutrient bars. My pilot for this one here is Meep, if I remember correctly. Yep, Meep. So I will have to make sure Meep can actually eat that. So, Meep, 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 Meep. Where the hell is Meep? Ah, Meep is here. For some reason. Okay, so then we have the nutrients. And then I can send them off and begin the launch. And that should mean that this rocket here will now automatically mine this sandy ore field here. And once it's done with mining, it will automatically return again. Okay, so this rocket here is on his way. And wait, why is this cooling loop not rotating? Wait, that doesn't look right. Yeah, that is going in the wrong direction. I will have to get rid of this liquid bridge first and then build it in the opposite direction. So the rocket here is launching though. Let's just speed this up a little bit. And those here are already doing their job, which is good to see. But without cooling, they will very quickly overheat. So I definitely have to prioritize this at the highest priority. Build this the correct way around this time. And hopefully someone should come by and get this build. Come on, anyone? Preferably before those here completely overheat. And that's looking much better. Yeah, now it's cooling down again. Perfect. Okay. So we are also getting a decent amount of water through here. Of course, it's not all of the steam. A decent amount escapes towards the top, but it's enough. And will help keeping all of this here decently cool. Anyway, I think with that said, and at least one of the miners on its way, we have reached a decent point to stop with this episode here. And next episode we are obviously going to launch our second miner, as well as start taming the various magma volcanoes on the main map. And with that, we have reached the actual end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share and comment if you did so, it really helps with the algorithm. Independent of that, I wish you a nice day, and well, see you!